Hello everyone, hoping you are doing well and in good health. Today we're gonna talk about how to write in academic style. Because in college or university or even like any type of writing that you have to provide informations, data, scientific information, we need like to follow a specific style in writing. And today, actually, we're gonna focus on there's like a different process in academic writing from the basic level. So there's like a different a process or steps in academic writing, and we have like to start first from a pre-writing. We have a drafting, revision, editing, and then publishing. For pre-writing, it is really like you have to start to gather your information, what you are like want to write about it, what you want to like to focus about it. And since like you are writing at college, maybe like the topic you don't have the option to choose the topic, maybe your professor, or like for example you are work on a specific project, or even you are search about different topics, and that you need like to write a report about it. So the most important is like you have to be like ready to write about it, but before that you have to start like to decide what you are going to write about. You have to be like to choose a topic for a paragraph or topic for like your writing in general. For example, if you are write like a specific topic about like for example a project, you need like to specify which area that you are focused in. And of course, in free write, like in pre-writing, here you need like to use some techniques to get this information. One of these techniques we call it like a brainstorm, because in this idea, like in this step, you will not like put your like for example your pen or pencil and you start to write about the topic that you are planning like to write about it. Here, this area is just like start to think about the topic or to think about the area that you will focus on, like in your writing. Even if it is this topic is specified by your professor, but here you need like to specific in which area you will focus. For example, you need like if you need like to write about a very scientific topic, this is topic is too general, too broad. Here you need like to specify which area that you have to focus on, and how about like the questions that you need like to present and then answer it. So for brainstorm is really like a kind of a free writing, because you start to write many ideas that you are wanna like to do. Sometimes we do a kind of making list, and sometimes just like you see here, it's just a free writing. It look like you write like many ideas, and you try to pick which areas that you need, or to use a kind of mapping, and we call it as mapping here, because we try like for example to choose one area and then try to think of this area in different topics, and then try to choose which of these topics that you or which areas that you think about it is you have like strong evidence, or you have like many previous research about it, and you need like to use them in your writing. So it's really important that you specify which area. So as you see here, like when you start to choose a topic, this is the example is really simple, because of course you are in the college and you specify maybe in engineering, and medical areas and wherever, but this is just like a simple example to show you which area, like for example here they use it to focus on. For example, just like choose many areas, and then which areas that you feel that you are strong in these like for example in these examples or in these areas that you need to focus on. So they, like for example, you choose it and then provide it in your writing. And of course here for rewriting, you need, like as I said, to choose a topic. And sometimes, and actually most of the times, you don't have the like maybe you don't have this option to choose the topic. But even though there's, like for example, every topic is look like umbrella, there is many different areas that you need to talk about it. As I always say, for example, if you are talk about, like for example, a homeless kids, okay, here is too broad, like too broad topic. So you need to specify which like area that you will write about it. For example, maybe you need, like, okay, to provide for example, some examples why homeless kids, they are, like, okay, victims of our society. Or this is a really, like for example, one another area that you maybe need, like, to talk. For example, homeless, like kids is really like a bad phenomenon that we need, like, okay, to find solution for. Or for example, what the government need, like to do to okay, to provide another life for the homeless kids. So you have to be specific in one area that you talk about it, because if you focus on like too general topic, you will not provide a very like a solid information that usually and like an academic writing that your audience need to read it. So here, choose a topic, choose a format. Of course, like if you are at the college, you need, like, to specify which format that you need to use, and gather material. And here, when I say material, that you start to get your resources either in the library or, like for example, online resources, or like academic articles that you need to use in your literature review. And then here, the plan basic structure that you need. Of course, the most important is, like, to find a basic structure in your writing. And then here we have, like, drafting. Here, start to write. But do you need, like, to submit this like draft to your professor or any, like, your audience? Of course not. This is for you, because you need, like, to organize your thoughts, okay, and then you're gonna, like, review it and then edit it, and then after that you're gonna prepare for example a really, like, perfect version of your writing. Okay, so here in drafting, get your ideas on paper. Here, start to write. Either it's like start to write it as a headlines, or start to write even, like, randomly, because you're just, like, try to organize your thoughts. Okay, and of course here use sentences, paragraph. You write like an essay or report, or like of report of, like, a project. So yeah, and of course follow the basic structure, okay, that you have chosen. Okay, but sometimes the teachers or professors, like, provide you with the structure that they need in your, like, writing assignment. Okay, so here, don't worry, okay, because of course you're gonna actually is just, like, fix it that later. Okay, so after you finish your first draft, you should get someone else perception of your work. This is what they call a second eye reviewer, because here you, of course, when you write something, like, you write it by yourself, you cannot find the mistake because you already, okay, you write it. And if you, like, for example, if you find these mistakes, maybe you correct it. Okay, but when the second eye like, for example, reader, okay, maybe gonna just find mistakes, okay, maybe the ideas are clear, maybe some of areas like is considered weak, so you need like to provide more evidence. So very important that you have like two reviewer before you like submitting the final actually version. And here, of course, like for example, maybe you need like to ask many questions for the reviewer. Maybe sometimes like consider like your classmate, or maybe one of the people who are in the college, or that in your field, so they are really like know about, they are familiar with the area that you are writing about, or even though it's just like maybe they have some questions about the language or the idea if it is clear or not. So for example, you can ask, what do you like about my piece of writing? What do you like? Do you think that some areas that I need like to do, there is like the idea is like for example clear or not? And these questions make sense to you? Do I need like to add some of questions or not? Like do I these question, do you find it like it is maybe it is like is really important for the writing piece that I'm planning to submit? And what would you like some of the like areas maybe you need like improvement? Okay, so after, yeah, as I said here, after that you start. Okay, yeah, so after that you just like for example you write it. You gather your ideas first. You have to choose a specific topic that you need to talk about. And of course, this topic is not like chosen randomly, that you need some areas that you feel that you can provide, for example, a knowledge. Maybe like you added some of information about this area. And of course, should there's like previous studies or previous theories about the topic that you write. After that, you write the draft, and then you say, it is really like important that you give it to reviewer to read it, to find some of these areas, is it clear or not? If it is like some of areas need like improvement, the language, the word choice, really important before you submit the final draft. So maybe it is like until we arrive, like for example, to this articles. Okay, we need like to get all these process before that. Okay, yeah. So here after revision, okay, of course you need like added details. And since you are provide academic piece of writing, so here you need examples, illustrations to strengthen and clarify your point of view, or like the theory that you are right about it. And of course you have to rewrite or change the weak word or unclear sentences or paragraphs of words. All the time, just try to avoid a awkward word, or real, like we call it like for example a GRE like words, because sometimes these words is not common, it's not like many of people they know about it, and especially that you maybe use the language as a second language. So these peoples or your readers may are not really familiar with the words that you need, and the sentences should be clear. Don't try to use like a very long sentences. Try to use a sentence that is just like a clear to that reader, because if you use very long and sophisticated sentences, and maybe sentence take like one paragraph, you're gonna lose your reader, because you lose their okay, what you mean. Okay, so very important that you have to write a very correct a sentence. Yeah, and of course like cut any words, sentence, paragraph that are off topic. If it is like some details, some sentences, some words that is not like necessary to add to your writing, just you have to delete it. Okay, all the time try to focus on the topic. And of course, for the editing, okay, when you try to edit, you have to focus on these areas. First of all, the spelling is really important, that you have to follow correct spelling. Okay, you need like to focus on the grammar. Okay, because if there's a lot of mistakes in grammar, your whole idea is not clear, especially the tenses, okay, the adverbs, the types of the sentences. It's real important that you focus on punctuation, of course, because punctuation, without punctuation, your idea, the whole idea is not clear. And English is really important that you have to follow the punctuations, semicolon, the period, like all these stuff you have to follow. And of course, the style, you have to know, like, okay, the styles, okay, of writing. And then here, after that, you can just publish your paper. And here, publishing is not like only like publishing like an article, because your student, undergrad students, is just most of the time it just turn it to your like a professor, or for example submit like in one of these journals. But really important that you have to follow actually these 5 steps in writing. You have to follow the pre-writing before you put like your pen or pencil and start to write about the topic. You have to think about it, which area. Sometimes you need like to search and to find which like one of these areas like need to add it about it, okay, and which areas that maybe you need like to add many studies about it, and which area maybe it is really like important or critical in your field. And of course we have a drafting. Here you start to write, okay, and of course like in the pre-writing maybe you need like many techniques as I explained before, like for example to use like just like brainstorm. Here maybe sometimes they're using mapping or headlines, or even like a free writing, like you just write on the piece of paper and then try to write it, and then just across some of these sentences. Here I just help you like to get ideas and to organize your thoughts later. And then here we have a drafting. Here you start to write your draft. Here, don't worry that you make it very perfect, because you're already gonna fix it. And of course revision, which is, do you need like to revise yours? Not, of course not. Here you need second eye reader, okay, to read what you write. And this is really like a good techniques to know the mistakes and some areas that you need like to edit, because of course the first reader that you, when you write, you don't know the mistake that you made. So the second reader is really important, and sometimes it's not only one, prefer like two, to like one, maybe one of the reader just like find that you need some areas to like edit, while the other like maybe find like for example some vocabulary not clear, so ask you like okay to change it. Okay, so and then after that you will do the edit by changing, and maybe like changing like some of the word choice, grammar, check like the structure of writing, and after that publishing here like you submit it to your teacher. So I hope this video is gonna just help you, okay, to how to write academically, and then we will continue our like lectures about different types of writing, start from a very simple essay to argument articles. Thank you so much.